My name's Trinity. I'm the agency training coordinator at the Arizona Food Bank Network. Let's talk about some of the important aspects of food pantries and best practices. First, let's talk about the difference between banks and pantries. Food banks are oftentimes mistaken for food pantries. But unlike pantries, most food banks do not distribute food directly to the public. A food bank is an organization that collects foods from many sources, such as government commodities, grocery rescue, donations from individuals and corporations, farms, and other producers. They store it safely and distribute it to agencies that provide food directly to those in need. A food pantry is an individual site or an agency or distribution center where folks can receive food. A food pantry is a member agency of and obtains food from a food bank. Because every community is different, there are many different types of pantries. Both food pantries and food banks share the same commitment: to provide food to those in need. Mobile pantries are one example of the many different kinds of pantries and many different models of distribution. Unlike traditional food pantries where you go to them, mobile pantry trucks go to you, with food, groceries, and sometimes other supplies for your community. They usually have a schedule and visit a community once a week or once a month. Mobile pantries usually visit churches, community centers, schools, shopping centers, and other convenient locations. You may also have heard about or participated in home delivery programs implemented during COVID-19 to deliver to at-risk or immunocompromised clients. When it comes to procuring food for your pantry, there are many things to keep in mind, and assessing the need is just the first step. Partner with your regional food bank to identify what resources and support they have available. Utilize data to understand needs of the community. Develop a service plan and set your policies and procedures. Be sure everyone in your organization is clear on these policies and procedures to better work together and serve your clients more effectively. When it comes to purchasing food for your pantry, it's important to check in with your regional food bank to see what support or resources they can provide. Consider your inventory space and distribution method. Is it client choice, standardized box or bag, hybrid? What unique client needs are prevalent in your community, such as religious or cultural dietary requirements? Another example is that for some pantries, food purchasing during the holidays is critical. For others, purchasing produce during the summer, when there are less donations, might be a better option. What is affordable and consistent? If you want to purchase food to supplement donations, it could be helpful to plan a menu, but this can also be really difficult if you're relying heavily on donated food. I've listed some sites on this slide that could be useful. A Vista member at the Grand Canyon Food Pantry, Diana, is putting together recipes, tutorials, and cooking videos that utilize the products they receive to distribute, so that food box recipients have that resource readily available, don't have to spend their own time trying to come up with what they can make with what they're getting. If there is a specific item that you want that can't be substituted, say turkey or ham, during the holidays, those types of things can sometimes be acquired through concentrated fundraising or grant writing. Of course, it's important to keep in mind your inventory space when purchasing food or soliciting donations. We have a free interactive training on our website, on our food pantry resources page if you want to learn more. You even get a certificate upon completion. Where does your food come from? There are actually a lot of sources. For our regional member food banks, much of the food comes from the federal government through the Emergency Food Assistance Program, also known as TFAP, thanks to Feeding America. Food is also acquired through grocery rescue, donations from corporations, community food drives, individual donors, statewide programs, and from purchasing. Additionally, food sources in your community may include restaurants, grocery stores, bakeries, local farmers and community gardens, or excess produce and gleaning. Another way to procure food is to implement food drives. Churches, schools, businesses, and other clubs and groups are often receptive to hosting and contributing to food drives on behalf of your organization. Inform these groups of the specific food items or supplies your pantry needs so their donations are the most effective. For example, a pasta dinner drive where people donate a box of pasta and a jar of sauce. Make it fun and interactive by setting a number for donors to try to achieve. Be sure to advertise throughout the drive as well as thanking your donors. Gratitude goes a long way. Consider posting a photo of all the donations you receive by the end of the drive or weighing the amount and posting that publicly on your social media channels with a shout out to your donors. People want to be involved and share in your success, so providing a visual component along with your expression of gratitude will probably be really exciting to everyone who contributed. As with anything, there are pros and cons. Although food drives are not as cost-effective as fund drives, they do serve as a tool for raising awareness and building community support around the issue of hunger. Good practice would be to gradually combine community fund drives with community food drives by incorporating and informing people about different donation options. People tend to get really excited about donating actual items like cans rather than donating money, but fund drives can bring in more food than even the most effective food drive. One idea to achieve both might be to ask community members to recycle bottles and cans and then donate the collected money for the pantry. It could be challenging to meet your need purchasing at market value, but food banks make it easy for agencies to obtain nutritious food at low cost in the quantities they need for their clients. As shown in the photo, the same amount of money yields much more food at a food bank than it can at a store. This is just another reason to opt for a fund drive and stretch your dollar to procure more food for your community. Let's talk about money some more. Why do donors give? There are lots of reasons to give, but oftentimes people make giving decisions based on emotions. The one time this doesn't apply as much is tax credit eligible donations in Arizona. As an Arizona taxpayer, you have a unique opportunity to direct your tax money to schools, organizations, and charities that you support and believe in. You must make a donation up front, but provided you stay within prescribed limits, you get every dollar back in the form of a tax credit, and you got to choose where that money went. If you have more questions about these things, reach out to our VP of External Relations and fundraiser extraordinaire. Here's some information about who gives what. Data shows lower and middle class individuals give more than any other group, and the amount corporations give has decreased over the course of the pandemic. 67.4% is done by individuals, 18.7% by foundations, 9.5% by bequests, so wills, estates, etc., 4.3% by corporations. There are many, many ways to fundraise. Here are just a few. For the purpose of this presentation, we'll talk about direct mail a little bit more in depth later on. This is a basic nonprofit fundraising plan put together by our VP of External Relations. Remember that data collection and record keeping in general is very important to nonprofit management across the board. Fundraising, grant writing, setting and enforcing policies and procedures, coordinating volunteer efforts, procuring more food, etc. It's just a really good habit to have. Let's focus on direct mail for a minute. Though it may be more time-consuming and costly than an email blast, direct mail brings in the most money for charities nationwide. At a minimum, your direct mail piece needs to have an outer envelope, a letter, pre-personalized reply slip, and a return envelope. It's ideal to have prepaid return postage, an online donation method, and quick gift option boxes to check. The less effort your donor has to put in, the more likely they are to donate, and to donate in that moment. Think about ease of access and make it as streamlined as possible. When you're writing your piece, consider your audience. What is their economic status? Where do they live? In the city? In the suburbs? A rural area? What do you know about their beliefs and interests, and how does your cause relate? Probably if they're signed up for your mailing list, they already care about your cause or have a connection to your organization. But how can you relate it to them personally and make it about them? Consider what you want them to do after reading the piece. Make a single donation, sign up for a monthly giving program, visit your website and donate online. And finally, your piece should answer the question of why should your audience care about your cause and to do this right now. Sometimes a sense of urgency can be helpful. Once again, don't forget to thank your donors. Here are some interactive worksheets from Mal Warwick Associates, which goes into fundraising writing a bit more, and even has this fun scoreboard for your own writing projects. If you get direct mail at home, I would suggest taking one of the pieces and going through these sheets with it as practice. You can find these for download on our website in our Food Pantry Resources Toolkit. The two links on the right may be helpful in your direct mail writing process, and the upper right image shows some techniques that have worked well, such as an envelope size that doesn't look like your average junk mail, and handwritten font in a fun color that will appeal to and grab the addressee's attention. Get creative, but keep in mind what you have time for. Grant funding is a way to raise funds, so it falls under the larger fundraising umbrella. Grants are usually specific in that funds awarded may have stipulations in how they're used or certain requirements that the applicant must meet. Grants are typically awarded to organizations to help achieve a certain purpose by a foundation, corporation, or other entity. Grant writing is the process of preparing and submitting applications for grant funds. Your organization will need a person or group of people dedicated to finding and writing these applications, whether it's paid staff or volunteer. You'll need several documents ready to include, plus evidence of meeting the specific requirements set by the funder. The most common documents that you should have ready to submit include your organization's mission and vision, your value statement, your most recent IRS 990 form, your W-9, proof of nonprofit status like your IRS determination letter, general demographic information of the communities you serve, and your operating budget. Make sure to include any additional supporting information like your impact or needs statement, information about your organization and personnel, a cover letter, or whatever else is specified within the application that you are applying to. It's a good idea to keep recent copies of these documents in a folder on your computer so that they are easy to locate when new opportunities arise. Your grant application should be able to answer the following questions. What is the need you're addressing, problem you're solving, or purpose of your project? Why is this important? Why is your organization the best candidate for this grant opportunity? How will you use the grant funds to support your organization's goals? How will you measure or evaluate your performance and success? What is your succession plan? After the grant funding period ends, how will your project carry on? Once your proposal is put together, take the necessary steps to submit your application. These days, online applications are very popular. That may have been how you located the grant in the first place. Be sure to go over your application to make final edits and turn it in via mail or online, however the funder specifies, by the deadline, if not earlier. Now that you know about the application process, let's explore finding grants. These are 2 free websites where you can subscribe to specific searches to find grant funds. Say that you already know of a foundation. Oftentimes, just going to their website or a quick Google search will get you connected quickly with their grant opportunities. These 2 free websites you can look for grants and foundations filtered for food, agriculture, nutrition, and hunger. You may be wondering how you're going to do all these things. Let's talk about volunteers. We have an entire playlist on our YouTube dedicated to volunteer development resources. The link is right there below. On the right is a newsletter from August 2022 with some highlighted resources that you're free to access. Developing a strong volunteer base comes down to 4 things: designing the roles, getting the right people on board, setting expectations, and expressing appreciation. A lot can make or break a volunteer's experience, so you do want to be mindful. Making someone feel fulfilled and appreciated is a good way to keep a good person. When you're hoping to retain volunteers, it's important to create appropriate activities, provide tools for success, incorporate learning and a chance to socialize, keep a list of future opportunities readily available, enlist volunteers as leaders, personalize the experience, share impact clearly and powerfully, and follow up promptly and keep them in the loop and invited to future volunteer opportunities. By building a team environment, clearly communicating your organization's goals and needs, expressing appreciation, empowering and trusting your volunteers, you're creating positive relationships where people will want to continue and potentially deepen their involvement. When you're looking to recruit volunteers, ask, what skills can you share with us? Not just, can you do insert task here? When writing a position description, be sure to include the title, key responsibilities, and a description of actual tasks, the ideal impact and outcome, or why it's important this work gets done, training and support offered, level of commitment expected, qualifications needed, for example, knowing how to use Excel, or physical requirements like being able to lift 50 pounds. And finally, what benefits there are to the volunteer, so what about this position might attract somebody or be important to them. Setting clear expectations for both the volunteer and you as the organization will allow for transparency and make for finding a good fit. Like everyone else contributing to your organization, don't forget to thank your volunteers. Volunteer appreciation should start even before volunteers show up for their shift. Folks should always feel welcomed and included. Gratitude can be expressed in many, many ways, from thanking somebody in person, specifically face-to-face, or in a handwritten letter, or a personalized text message. recognition awards if it's in the budget, or a spotlight featured on your social media channels or in your newsletter. You could also use these moments to collect feedback about their volunteer experience and gauge their interest in volunteering again. Start a friendly conversation, ask what interests them, and see if you can find the perfect long-lasting fit. The spotlights are also a great way to boost your social media marketing engagement as well. There are many other important aspects and best practices for food pantries and nonprofits that we didn't get to cover today, like advocacy and succession planning, to name a few. If you'd like to learn more about these or anything discussed today, please visit our website at azfoodbanks.org or our YouTube channel. Thanks, and best of luck with all your anti-hunger endeavors.